the bad guy.
Hokazono, Hokazono, Hokazono. This man has been cooking like he got Gordon Ramsay breathing down his neck lately. I'm glazing him so much this week, Winnie the Pooh might pull up to my door asking for reparations. But anyways, let's hop into the video. Picking straight up from where we left off in the last chapter, we see Hiruhiko slumped out on the floor after getting one pump by Samura. Chihiro knows that of course Hiruhiko can't move right now because he was spamming ultimates with his enchanted blade and depleted his physical and spiritual energy. This is common. What's not common is the fact that Samura nullified Hiruhiko's true realm and he's been holding the owl in the sky for multiple days and he's not even winded yet. This dude is just built different. Chihiro flashes back to Hiruhiko asking if Samura is immortal and he denies that. He explains that Suzaku can regenerate but can't resurrect the dead. So in Uraha Glazers, it may or may not be looking good for our king right now. He continues explaining that it consumes a tremendous amount of spirit energy. If you keep getting cut, you'll have to keep healing, which in turn depletes your spirit energy and you'll eventually collapse. So the regeneration is limited. Chihiro thinks this is what should happen in theory, but there's been a number of stuff that wasn't even recorded during the Seitei War. No one knows what sparked it, but Samura has evolved beyond his abilities 18 years ago. Samura wastes no time and says he needs to thirst kill Hiruhiko. But then, my man's Kuguri comes out of nowhere sliding for Hiruhiko as he bursts through the wall. Kuguri goes for a slash, but Samura parries and breaks his blade. Of course, now that he's down the blade, he uses his sorcery called Twilight Wave. Twilight Wave allows Kuguri to store heat generated in his body and unleash it at will. The capacity is limited though. The more he stores, the stronger he gets. Kinda reminds me of something like Black Panther's suit, but on crack. This freak Kuguri has been edging himself for 7 months. By only fighting with a sword. Freak actually gets off the fighting. Scratch that, the whole hishaku is full of freaks. Bet you they could go freak for freak with a sweaty K-pop stand group.
Stand down, it's a draw.
See, as Kuguri uses his sorcery, he blows a hole clean through the side of the hotel. He used that as a diversion to dip out. As we see them teleporting to a nearby alley, Kuguri being a W mans dropped down and checks on Hiruhiko asking if he's alright. Toto was like, what do you think? And yeah, Samura kinda fucked him up. Samura took his arm and snatched his pole. That's crazy work. On top of all of that, they didn't kidnap Yori like planned, so they just took a fat L. But now that they're packed with Samura's cook, they've got no cards left to play. As we see the sky, we can actually see that it's snowing right here. Kuguri says it could be because Samura's owl was in the sky for so long. So you mean to tell me Samura's blade actually affected the weather? Yeah, this dude is a problem. He needs to go immediately. But why is Toto asking if Kuguri is thirsting for a sword fight with this dude? Pause! Obviously he's not. Kuguri's bag is not deep enough to contend with something like that. Toto says that Yura's on the move in Tokyo and Kuguri says that it's best to bet on that plan. Kuguri says it's impossible to fight a beast like that. And hey, he's not wrong. Samura really out here showing people there's levels to this. We then see Hiruhiko asking to kill him and he talks about Chihiro's eyes. Thinking about how he felt nothing towards him, not even hatred. His little crush don't want him, now he ready to die. That's kinda crazy. Kinda remind me of how niggas was moving in middle school. They crush wanted nothing to do with them and now they posting, don't call, don't text, don't hit me out, real ones know. Trust me bro, we wasn't. But honestly, that kind of reaction isn't just random. Hokazono has been planting the seeds from the beginning. He writes Hiruhiko with this disturbing, almost childlike mentality. Back in his first appearance, he wasn't just some cold-blooded killer. He said he wanted to be Chihiro's friend. Then he literally compared murder to a game. There's this unsettling innocence to the way he views violence in relationships, like he's stuck in some warped version of a kid's mindset. That kind of writing choice makes him way more compelling and terrifying. He's not just a villain, he's emotionally stunted, clings to the delusions where killing is playtime and enemies are just potential playmates. And now that his friend doesn't want nothing to do with him, he'd rather die. Then you stack that on top of the fact that he has an enchanted blade now with the Kumeyuri. It's like Hokazono was turning that immaturity into horror, and that's what makes Hiruhiko so unnerving as a villain. But enough of my nerd yapping, we cut back to Chihiro and Samura in the hallway. Samura asks Chihiro why he decided to wield Enten again, and Chihiro tells him that he's learned everything about the malediction and the sword master's crimes. I'm sick, dog. This man Shiba for real, off screen the explanation just like everything else. I swear you can't hate this man. Samura, just like all of us though, are shocked. He then says that was the sword master doing and Kunoshige was only responsible for creating the weapons. He also says he was just a hero who did everything for his country. I don't know, but to me it sounds like he's trying to soften the blow, if you know what I'm saying. Chihiro is aware of this because of Shiba, as Samura is speechless. Samura also notes mentally that he still isn't swallowing it, and that made me start thinking that maybe Chihiro hasn't fully understood the weight of what Kunoshige did or the weight of what the enchanted blades did during the war. Because if you remember, he got killed by Samura and then he went straight into working with the Matsumi, so it's probably he hasn't had enough time to process everything that he's been told. He then cuts to the chase and says if Chihiro knows about the malediction, then he knows that the sword saint can't be allowed to live. Chihiro asks him if he's willing to let all the sword bearers die, himself included, and Samura says it's necessary to stop a future malediction and for Yori's future too. Samura tells him that if he doesn't get out of the way, he'll cut him down again. And I think he used the word cut him down instead of kill him because he genuinely doesn't want to hurt Chihiro, and maybe he'll try to revive him using Suzaku like he did the first time. Because if you peeped how Samura fights, like Samura goes straight for the head, like no questions asked. So if he actually wanted Chihiro dead, he would have went for his head and Chihiro would have been dead already. Chihiro then says that what Iori needs for her future is her father. He tells Samura he took up the enchanted blade again to stop Samura. We then cut over to Tokyo as we see Yura preparing to invade the Kamunabi HQ. We then see some guy observing everything. We cut to the Kamunabi HQ as we see some higher ups chatting. They report that the owl has been cleared up and the Matsumi reported a Samura encounter in Kyoto. They also mentioned they've encountered 3 hishaku members and 1 possessing the Kumayuri enchanted blade. Then we get an alert of an enemy attack. The observer guy says that the force field took a hit directly above where the Shinichi is being held. The higher up says it's the hishaku, and one is surprised that they will actually attack the HQ directly. We see that the Shinichi is being held at the Kamunabi headquarters, and deeper down the sword master there is being imprisoned. In the Tokyo facility there's over 500 employees including non-combatants, and it's protected by a rectangular force field. We then see that the vines are tearing up the streets as Buddy with the fedora says that the force fields are strong. One Kamunabi member says they should welcome them and let them break into the first level. He says that their priority is to protect civilians from sorcery and can't allow a surface battle. And hey, I respect it. We see them retracting the first level shields as the observer says that there are 7 trespassers on the first level. According to Chihiro, there's 10 hishaku members, and Hiruhiko, Todo, and Kuguri are all in Kyoto. So that means Yura actually pulled up with the rest of the gang. A higher up says to send a force to intercept them and make sure that they're top level. We then see Azami or Azami, how do you say Azami? We then see him as he's holding his right hand saying he'll hit them. A higher up is thinking about how he thought the hishaku would use Samura to hunt down the other sword bearers first, but it seems like they had other plans. He says that's why he sent Shiba, and I'm assuming Hiyuki's to security. I know it says Hibiki and it could be a new character, but word going around that this is a mistranslation. It seems John Wary strikes again. If you know, you know. He says that they can't expect to take the whole place down without an enchanted blade, and asks if their plan was messed up by Samura being held back in Kyoto. But he thinks this might have been their plan the whole time to wait until he deactivated the owl to strike. You've been moving like Shikamaru these past couple of chapters, I swear. We then cut to an announcement calling for all non-combatants to evacuate to the lowest level as we see someone apologizing for waking someone up and ask if they can move. Then see our boy Hakuri ready to get back to work, and that's where the chapter ends. Overall, like the last few chapters, this one was a straight banger. Hokazono does not miss. I'm praying we get to see some real crazy feats from the Kamunabi, because every Kamunabi and enchanted blade feat, that's a Shiba and Hiyuki feat. Remember that. We definitely locked in for next week. Until then, love y'all boys. God bless. Stay smooth, y'all.